Welcome to Creators Who Convert, the show where we dive deep into how successful creators are actually successful and, most importantly, how they drive revenue and convert. I'm your host, Elliot, and today we're joined by two powerhouses in the LinkedIn branding space, Sherry and Samridhi from Uniquework. Now, these two are special. They've generated hundreds of millions of impressions and helped secure millions in funding for a lot of really, really important clients. And they are the secret duo behind some of LinkedIn's leading creators. I am super honored to have them both join us. Sherry, Samridhi, welcome to the show.
Hey, we're so excited to be here.
Pleasure to be here, Elid.
Yes, we love your content as well. We have been watching posts, so it's an honor.
Yeah, I think you know a lot about LinkedIn as well, so we might question you back.
Okay, wow. Okay, we might get the very first question towards me on the show, so that'll be interesting. Awesome. So look, I want to start with this. Let's start with the algorithm, because I think people think about LinkedIn and they think it's all about just putting content out there. Actually, there's a lot to do with understanding how the platform works, understanding how the algorithm works. What's the first thing about the LinkedIn algorithm that you can tell me kind of where it is right now?
So basically, let me be clear. LinkedIn isn't random. It's driven by topical relevance and interest. In fact, I recently wrote a post about it. So when the algorithm can't identify the focus of your post, it doesn't know who to show it to, your reach suffers. I'll give you an example. So when I started using specific keywords like LinkedIn growth, because I talk about personal branding, LinkedIn growth, entrepreneurship, started using these keywords a lot, especially in the hook line throughout the post. Like when I used keywords like LinkedIn growth, entrepreneurship, hiring, I saw significant boost in my content's visibility. So it became clear that LinkedIn's algorithms suggest content based on audience's interests. So if someone engages with, let's say, if you engage with LinkedIn growth tips, your feed will be a lot of like LinkedIn growth strategies. If you like a post about hiring, you'll see more hiring posts, right? So it's not just about likes or comments. It's about understanding like making LinkedIn understand what your content is exactly about. So when the algorithm can easily identify your niche, whether it's sales, it's strategy, it's personal branding, hiring best practices, it knows exactly which audience to push your post forward to. So my recommendation would be to stop and like trying to crack algorithm. Like you can't crack the whole algorithm, but try to leverage what are the things that you know. So if you know that LinkedIn prioritizes interest-based content, so start by building your own relevant keywords, basically clusters. So let's say if you're into sales, you are a sales expert. So you can create 3-4 content pillars. It would be around sales outreach. It would be around sales tools that you use. It would be around, how to close. And start stuffing your post, not, I would say, overstuffing it, but just naturally throughout the post with the relevant keywords. So, how to increase your closing rate, how to be a better salesperson. So all the better keywords, I think you should start adding them. And once LinkedIn identifies those keywords and pushes it to the right people, your reach will increase. So it's all about using the algorithm in a way that works in your advantage. And LinkedIn can't gauge, or the algorithm can't gauge what is it about, who is it for. So if you can do that, it's going to just help you skyrocket.
That's amazing. And I think you're so right that LinkedIn wants to help you. They're not trying to fight you. They want to help you. They want to get your content in front of the best people possible, but you need to really niche down and get specific about who it is you're speaking to. And I don't know what you guys think about people that kind of post this borrowed authority type content where they may be reposting content from other platforms, or there's like a viral video that goes viral on like Instagram Reels or TikTok and they bring it over to LinkedIn. And I see these accounts and I see these posts and I think, okay, great, you got maybe 1,000 likes on it, but who is that speaking to? It's so broad that you're actually confusing LinkedIn in some ways. They're saying, we've shown it to all these random people, maybe people that don't have, that they're in the market looking for a career. They're people that are maybe not your ideal buyer. They're now seeing your content. Now LinkedIn thinks that's the people that we should show your content to. So I think it's really interesting that you spoke about getting specific and really speaking about that. You said one thing about stuffing your posts with the relevant keywords. And I think one of the things that I see in real kind of early stage creators is they stuff it with not keywords, but hashtags. And I want to get your take on hashtags. Do they work? Is that the thing to be doing on LinkedIn or not? Like, what's the deal there?
Personally, don't use hashtags a lot. I mean, 1 or 2 is good. It's okay. It just gives people direction. You can use them at the end. It is fine. But I think hashtags are a bit 2015 right now.
Yeah. Yes.
They have lost their
Agree.
relevancy. They don't work
Yeah,
anymore.
it's relevance, but it's good if you want to, like, at least in the end, if your post lack those keywords, if you feel like your post is just good the way it is, you don't want to stuff it with too many keywords, you can just put one or two at the end. But if you just overstuff it, it's just
Yeah.
going to annoy people.
And also
Yeah.
confuse the algorithm, because a lot of people that I've noticed, they think that the more hashtags they add, the more visible their post would be. But sometimes they also add keywords which aren't really directly related to their post. So basically, they're pushing their post or their content on the wrong feed as well, and which dilutes their audience. So it doesn't always work, and especially on LinkedIn, I don't think, like, maybe it still works on Instagram, but LinkedIn definitely not.
Yes, I mean, LinkedIn is kind of a search engine in disguise, right? So you need to have very well-defined keyword clusters. Like I mentioned, if I'm talking LinkedIn growth, so there are different pillars of it. It could be profile optimization, it could be community building, it could be content management, it could be content writing. If you're talking about sales, like I mentioned, it could be around sales outreach, it could be around lead gen, it could be around closing sales, it could be sales tool, right? So there are different niches. So if you could create clusters and use well-defined keywords overall throughout the post, and don't overstuff it because it just looks unnatural. So keep it natural, keep it candid, and do it in a very, I would say, natural way. It would work well. So don't try to overstuff it. Don't try to kind of saturate the post with too many keywords. No, don't do a lot of hashtags as well, because at the end it just confuses LinkedIn, and it just looks inauthentic, right? And you don't really
Yeah.
give off that vibe.
Yeah, nobody speaks, ends their sentence, then says
Right.
hashtag and then 50 things. Like that isn't natural. And I think the biggest shift I've seen is people transitioning from content that's maybe more geared towards like what the algorithm wants to see into actually, if you're just an expert and you speak about your field and you speak about it authentically, you're going to get good results from that. One thing that I wanted to get your take on is how have you seen formats changing?
Yeah. And another thing that I would like to add is, like, a lot of people endorse that you need to have shorter posts, you need to have, something that is quick to read. But I think Sherry would agree with me as well that most of our viral posts, they are the ones which are super lengthy. So I would say it's an unpopular opinion that people think that your posts need to be short. They have to be if they aren't good, if they don't have that finesse, or if you don't know the copywriting formulas. But if you know how to write, if you know how to engage the audience, if you know how to capture the attention, if you know that every line has to be a hook line, no matter how long your
Mm,
post is, they are going to read it till the end. So it's
I
not about the length of the post, how short it is, how long it is. It's about the quality of the post and how you're able to capture their attention and retain the attention, not just capture it, but also retain it.
Yes, I agree with that, because a lot of posts that I have written which have gone viral and got an amazing engagement, I had written until I hit the character limit. Like you no longer can write it, you have hit the character limit, and they surprisingly worked really well. And all of if I were to compare all my viral posts today and set, they were all like super long. But also one thing that I've observed is they were highly engaging. So they showed my personal credibility. And you mentioned one point, which is borrowed credibility. A lot of people, they just share what's on Google, what's on blog and article. But if you, let's say, if you talk about yourself, instead of saying like how to lose weight, let's say, if you share your experience, your personal experience, like how I lost 10 kg in 3 months, and this is exactly what I went through and the diet plan I had, people would be more curious to learn from you because they know it is coming from experience. So I think these kind of posts where you kind of add storytelling, where you can add your personal credibility and your unique perspective, they're gonna get more engagement, because people are looking for that. They're not looking for articles. They would just ask ChatGPT or Google Blogs or go to Google Blogs, right? If they wanted an advice, but they want to know your unique experience and your unique perspective, basically. So that is one thing that I've seen in all of my viral posts and great performing posts. Like they had my personal credibility to it. So that is one thing I feel is very, very critical, very important.
yeah. You're so right. And I think that is the one irreplaceable thing is yourself. Like everybody can find the latest stories, everybody can find the latest videos. It's all about you and your unique perspective. That leads me really nicely into my next question, which is talking about how you position somebody as an authority. And I think when in terms of being on LinkedIn, the number one thing I see people trying to understand and position themselves as is I want to be a thought leader. I want people to look at my profile, to look at my posts and see me as a leader in my space. So I know that you're both experts at this. You work so closely with so many different executives, CEOs, and other people in the industry, about turning them from someone who's an amazing person in their own field, but maybe doesn't have that persona online yet. How do you transform somebody from being unknown to being an industry authority on LinkedIn?
So the first one is, I call it the subtle power shift, and you could also call it the perception positioning. So like I mentioned earlier, like positioning isn't what you say, it's how you say it. So let's say that there are two people who have the exact same credentials, they have the exact same achievements, but one person could sound like a leader while the other person could just be another participant, right? Now your question is like, how do you do it in a post? How do you implement in a post? So I've written down a couple of bullet points for examples, and I think this would make it very clear. So instead of saying that I attended XYZ event, you could reframe it and say that I was invited to XYZ event. Now, just a very subtle shift, but it's a very high impact shift. Now, suddenly from being someone who, was just attending an event, now you're somebody who was invited to that event, right? Now,
Love that.
you have
Yeah.
instantly positioned yourself. I'll give you another example. Instead of saying that I pitched to a client, you could say a B2B SaaS founder reached out to us. Now, from being a person who is going out there, showing that desperate energy, now you are someone people are reaching out to. So from chasing, you're now attracting. And there's this instant position shift, right? So these are just subtle examples. I'll maybe give you another one I just had in mind.
Please, yeah,
So a
these are
lot
great.
of
This is so
people,
valuable, by the way. So thank you for this. This
yeah.
is great.
Yes, I'll make it as actionable as possible. So I read a lot of posts, and there's this trend going on where people add PS and DM me the word and XYZ, right? So most of the posts that I use, they say something like DM me the word, let's say growth, and I'll reach out to you. Now, had I been in that position, I would say something like DM me the word growth, and I'll add you to my waiting list, or my team will reach out to you, right? So basically, if you're showing yourself as a person who is busy, you're showing yourself as a person who has other things to do, and not as a person who's just free to cater to everybody's demand out there. Now, that is a shift in positioning. And this is one of the formulas. I use this a lot, and it makes a lot of difference. It's small but high impact changes. Like, let's say there are two people, and again, I'm going to give the same example, exactly the same credentials, exactly the same, let's say, job title. But one of the person, they have, written, they have this thing written on their, let's say, website or banner, which is like featured on Forbes or featured on TEDx or featured on Bloomberg. Now, both of them have the exact same credentials, but if you were to choose a person, or if you were to subconsciously think of one person as the authority, who would that be?
Yeah, it's got to be the person who's had that credibility and been featured, because it's like, well, if they're featured there, they must be good, right?
Yeah. So this is one important principle or formula that we use as well, is basically the psychological principle of association. So when you align yourself with, an authority, you inherit some of that authority yourself. So you have to very subtly add these things. And that is the reason people love to have that, floaters in their website, like as seen on or featured on, published on, and that instantly elevates your perception. So this is one thing that we have used extensively for our clients, and it works really well.
Yeah, I think that's so true, and it's like, it's human principle. It's like you can't fight it. This is evolution through all of these generations of just human behavior, where we as humans, we want to be attracted to people that we see as being authorities in their space, and it really just goes down to the way that we've evolved as humans. So you're completely right. In terms of those, like featured on Forbes, I feel like, I mean, I personally do it myself. Like, we got featured in Forbes pretty recently, and I'm putting that
Congratulations.
everywhere. Well, thank you. Yeah. But, I'm putting that everywhere. I'm putting my bio if I speak to people. And the reason I do it, it's not to brag. It's just to basically shortcut kind of like an explanation of where I'm at. It's like, rather than saying what I've been doing for the last 5 or 6 years, it's like, oh, we done A, B, C, we were featured on Forbes. That lets people understand really quickly, okay, he's kind of playing at this level, versus trying to take like the next 20 minutes to explain what I've been doing, and they finally work out, oh yeah, great, he's kind of operating at this level. It's almost a shortcut that helps people get to that same destination. So I really, really like that. in terms of like people putting themselves, and like I really love the fact that you just put that broke that down as a framework, in terms of actually understanding somebody's unique angle, and understanding what makes them unique. How do you go about that? Do you have any kind of kind of frameworks for breaking that down? Because when I speak to a lot of people, they've maybe done loads of really great things in their career, they've done loads of great things in their life, but when it comes down to them actually translating that into a kind of elevator pitch or putting it online, they just don't know where to start. So how do you, when you're working with these individuals, how do you get to that point where you can understand, okay, this is how we're going to position this person?
Yes, so I'll also explain this through a couple of principles. And I think
Yeah.
this one fits really well because you mentioned it rightly, and it's not uncommon. A lot of people who come to us, they have really killed it in life, like they have done something substantial, but when they write something online, it doesn't reflect that kind of achievement or things that they have actually done in life. So what we do is, like, apart from these two principles that we talked about, which psychologically plays with how you're positioning yourself, there's another one called the command language shift. So I'll again have come up with a lot of examples to make it actionable. I'll give you a couple more. So again, if you sound uncertain, people will doubt you, right? And I think this is something we all have experienced. Initially, in fact, Sherry and I, when we used to get on sales call and we used to be underconfident, it showed in the way that we talked, right? And it shows, and it kind of reflects the way they perceive you. So if you are uncertain, people will doubt you. On the other hand, if you are confident, if you are absolute, people will follow you. So this is based on, it's called the authority bias. So this is what we implement in the post for all our clients and for ourselves as well, because humans, they naturally defer to those who project certainty, right? So how do you use this in the positioning? So I'll give you a couple of examples. So instead of saying that, I think this might help, you could replace it with saying, here's exactly how it works. Now, whenever you show uncertainty, like with the word might or maybe or I guess or I feel, you're instantly showing that you're not somebody who can be trusted easily, right? So you have to exude that confidence. You have to show that conviction and clarity in whatever you're saying or putting out there. So instead of saying that you should try this, you could say this is the framework that top experts use. Or instead of saying that maybe consider doing this, you could say something like do this if you want results. So you're just replacing uncertainty with something that is absolute. You're replacing confusion with something that is, clear, that exudes confidence and conviction. So this is one way you can actually position yourself as someone who can be easily trusted and relied upon.
Right. And speaking about, I think, engagement, like a lot of people I see, they focus only on likes and comments. I mean, they think that likes and comments are the metrics of how successful a post is, right? But what I have noticed and what algorithm really notices is how long someone actually spends on your post. That's dwell time. So I'll tell you just simple thing. Like, think about it. Like, LinkedIn wants users to stay on the platform as long as possible. So if your content gets someone kind of pause, read carefully, and maybe even scroll back to reread a key point, you're already winning. Because, and one way to do it is, like, I would say, keep your post a bit mysterious. So a lot of people, I would say, your feed right now is filled with posts. Like, you could just scroll and there are a lot of people fighting for attention. And I think a lot of people have low engagement, a lot of posts have low engagement. It's because they're giving the solution right away. Right? So let's say if I were to write about, here's how my post got 20K impressions, let's say, and it was because of hook. If I just give the answer, the solution in the first two lines, people wouldn't be curious enough to read further, right? So instead of that, if I just write, like, I made this one shift that made my post go from 5K impressions to 40K impressions, and this is exactly what I did. And maybe you take them slowly to the journey of just give them space to feel curious, intrigue them, right? And then you layer it slowly and entirely. Don't just say, "Oh, it was because of hook line," because that does not tell me anything. Hide the solution within the invitation. So the whole post, you don't give them solution right away. You kind of invited them to read, and you kind of hid the solution in the invitation itself. And towards the end, maybe you could ask a question. Have you experienced something like that? What are your thoughts on that? And something thought-provoking. So people, when they grasp the concept well, towards the end, they're more likely to engage with you. So this is one thing that I have observed people do is they just give the answer right away. And it might be good if people have low attention span, but that won't get you attention. That won't get you engagement, right? The goal is to keep that attention.
And you're so right, because it's, very easy to get a bunch of likes and it's been online for an hour and then it doesn't really move much further after that. And you can almost feel it. You can feel that, okay, that really didn't resonate in the way that I expected, because it's very easy to get a friend or somebody who you engage with on a daily basis to engage with your content. But to get that second layer of people that are maybe outside of your network, that's a lot harder. So I think the way that you broke that down is really interesting. I really want to just understand. So I think we've kind of mastered understanding how you can build your audience, position yourself as a leader. I want to kind of transition a little bit into how you actually turn those LinkedIn connections into actual paying clients. I think a lot of people that are trying to build a personal brand, they're doing it because they want to try and have that as a different avenue for them to create business from. So let's talk a little bit about that. How do you actually turn those people that are engaging with your content, how do you turn them into potential clients as well?
So on LinkedIn, when it comes to, using community building to drive meaningful engagement as well as drive sales, what we do is we take a multi-touch point approach. We take the warm approach and never the cold approach. So we have never gone out there and pitched someone. So what we do is we have indirect conversations with them. So through our content, through the way we are interacting with them in the comment section, through sending hyper-personalized connection requests, and then starting the conversation in the DM. So what we do is that we are in the radar at all times. So through content, through comment, through connection requests, through DMs. So what we do is that we first ensure that we have indirect conversation with them before we even take the conversation through the DMs. So we generally, the strategy that we approach is basically we engage with their content for, I would say, 3 to 4 times till the time they start recognizing our names and faces. And once we have had conversation with them in the comment section, that is when we send them a connection request. And since they already recognize us, our acceptance rate, connection request acceptance rate, that is over 95%, and the response rate is over 80%. And that is because we take that warm approach. We build that relationship first before pitching them into the DMs. And in fact, we don't even pitch them in the DM. So once they accept our connection request, we just start the conversation in a very genuine and authentic way. So we just open up with something that we have in common, maybe, or maybe it's something that we read in the about section, their experience section, maybe something in their post, and let the conversation naturally flow. Another thing that we take care of is that we ensure that we come from a place of genuinely wanting to add value to that person rather than just getting money out of it. Because this, again, is energy that people can sense. So when you're asking them questions in a way that you really want to understand where they are struggling, where they want to be, and how they want to go there, that is when they sense that, okay, this person comes from a genuine place. This person comes from a place of genuinely wanting to help me rather than just trying to, get my money. So once you let that happen, in most cases, most of the people, they ask us themselves, like, okay, I've just started posting on LinkedIn and it's going great, but I'm struggling with XYZ. What do you have to say? And most people that I know, they would just instantly, immediately offer to get on a call, which we don't do because, again, that kind of puts up the sales resistance. What we do is we give them some suggestions or some insights, inputs, or advice in the chat itself. And once they get the tip of the solution, when they understand that, okay, these people, they know what they're talking about, they are the experts and they genuinely want to help, that is when we suggest to hop on a friendly chat. And one last thing that I would add, or, one thing that you all can do is to just tell them that it's going to be a candid chat, because you have to remove that resistance. It has to be a no-brainer offer. So ensure that you tell them that it's just going to be a candid chat to see if we could be a resource to you. If not, it's totally okay. Like, no strings attached. I'll still be cheering for you. I'll still be supporting you. I'll still be there for you. I think that is something most people miss, because as soon as the conversation doesn't lead to a sale or something, the energies shift, right? You don't want that. You want to tell them that, okay, we are just having a chat. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, we are still having this conversation.
And what I have observed, what most people do, is that they think commenting is a very surface level engagement tool. Like they, most of the time, they just drop a quick compliment and move on, right? But that's not actually getting any conversation, right? This approach, like if you just, like, hey, wow, I just love it, great post, or, if you just write one line or something that doesn't really add value, it's not going to leave a lasting impression on the author, on the creator, on the prospect, right? Instead, what you should do is provide kind of a meaningful or maybe thought-provocative comment that challenges the reader, kind of introduces your unique perspective and shows your expertise. So when you add value in the comment, you make yourself memorable. And it's important because when you are commenting, you should remember there are 100 other people who are commenting as well. And if you want to kind of develop that relationship with the author or the prospect, you need to stand out, right? So this is the one reason that you should be putting out authentic and meaningful and impactful comments, and try to have conversations in the comment section, because one, like, that is very, like I said, low resistance or indirect conversation that you're having. And when I see that, let's say Samriddhi is chatting with me a lot, she's putting a lot of thoughtful comments under my post. When I read her comment, I know that she knows her game, she knows what she's talking about. It kind of impresses me in a way, it kind of creates a good impression, right? And when Samriddhi reaches out to me in the DMs with a personalized note, I'm most likely to accept that, right? So open rate and conversion rate in second scenario would be higher. But let's say someone who is just posting, commenting great post, or this post is a testament to your brave, or to your achievements, something like that, something like very AI written. Nobody's going to notice that. Algorithm's going to push it to the bottom. I'll give you one example to talk about numbers. Let's do the numbers game right now. So let's say I'm dropping only just this. I'm focusing on just these 30 prospects right now. I am commenting just something really thoughtful and meaningful on their post every single day. Let's say they're active and they post 5 times a day, right? So that will be 30 into 5, 5 times a week, sorry. 30 into 5, 150. And per month, it will release around 150 into 4, 600. So there are 600 comments that I'm making on their post, right? And let's say your ticket size is $5,000. And because you will be having certain, like, let's say exchanges or some interactions, let's add 200 more comments. So let's say you're dropping around 800 comments, and you want, let's say you suck at sales. Okay, you have 30 opportunities, and you're so bad that you just get one out of it, just one conversion. But even if you get one conversion, you have $5,000 lead, right? $5,000 client. So you have 30 chances, 30 opportunities, and let's keep it very safe. Like you have one. Even if you convert one client out of this 30 with the right intentional approach, what is the ratio like? So it would be 6.25. So that means you're getting paid $6.25 per comment. So look at it in that term. If you do it intentionally.
That's a great way to look at it.
Yeah. If you can do it intentionally, you can actually make a lot of money. But you have to do it intentionally. You have to actually engage and have that relationship with them in the DMs, in the comments, and win their trust, basically. Because there are 100 people doing the same thing, pitching it. If you're doing something different, you're going to stand out. If you're going to stand out, you're going to make a mark. And if you're going to make a mark, that's going to translate into your response rate, conversion rate, and your business. So do it with an intention. And this is just a very basic example that I give. We do a lot of advanced methods, but of course I'll need the whole Zoom sharing and everything to show you that. But this is something that you can do at a very basic level, and anyone who is starting out can do it. Just do it with an intention, create a list, know that these are the people I want to nurture, and I do it the right way, create a mark, and then pitch your offers. And most of the time they'll ask you themselves. So this is how you do sales through LinkedIn.
I love it. So much value. Guys, this has been incredible. Thank you so much for hopping on. I'd love for you just to kind of give us a little bit of insight into how people can find you. If someone's been listening, they've been nodding along thinking, I love hearing this. What's the best thing for them to do? What's the first step for them if they want to potentially work with you?
I think they can just reach out to us on LinkedIn and we can take it from there.
Yes. So Sherry Cares, that's my headline. And I think Samriddhi's username is Samriddhi Bharadwaj.
Yes.
And if you would like to connect with us and talk business, basically you can reach out to us at sherrysamridhi@gmail.com or info@uniquework.com. So .in. So yes, you can reach out to us via LinkedIn or email, and we'll love to get in touch with you.
Just go onto LinkedIn. You can't miss them. You probably refresh the timeline. They're going to be like at the top somewhere there. So you can't miss them. Thank you so much for dropping so much value today. Really appreciate it. To our listeners, you can find all the links that were mentioned in the show, including how to find Sherry and Samriddhi I'm Elliot, and we're going to catch you next time on the next episode of Creators Who Convert.